If you're looking to buy the ultimate in Audi performance, you'll be looking at an Audi model that has the letters RS in front of the model name. In fact, Audi's performance division, better known as Audi Sport, has been responsible for churning out iconic vehicles like the RS7, RS6 Avant, and even an SUV called the RS-Q8. However, back in 2016, Audi Sport introduced the smallest and most affordable member of their family, called the RS3. It's built, of course, off of the iconic A3 and S3, and just like the regular models, it got a full redesign. It was reintroduced for its second generation back in 2022. Now for 2025, just like the smaller A3, the RS3 is getting its first round of updates, and as you can see this week, we are testing out the latest model painted in Ascari blue. It's still powered by the iconic 2.5-liter turbocharged 5-cylinder, making nearly 400 horsepower with the company's signature Quattro all-wheel drive system. So the big question I went answered, has Audi managed to make enough changes to their smallest performance sedan to keep enthusiasts flocking into showrooms? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior design changes that Audi has made this year, let me go ahead and pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing, because that's always the signature feature with any Audi RS product. And what makes the RS3 so unique is the fact that this is the only vehicle in its segment. In fact, it may be one of the last vehicles out there left with a 5-cylinder engine. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, you're going to find a transverse mounted engine, which is a 2.5-liter gasoline direct injection, double overhead cam, turbocharged 5-cylinder engine. Essentially, think of this motor as half of the Lamborghini Huracan's 5.2-liter V10, or half of the Audi R8's V10, of course, with a big old turbo on it that's pushing in nearly 22 pounds of boost pressure. Now, with the refresh, the horsepower technically has gone down a little bit, although I've seen conflicting reports of either 401 horsepower, but Audi's actual number that you see on their media site is 394 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. That is technically a little bit less horsepower versus this car's main rival, the Mercedes-AMG CLA 45S, which I wouldn't be surprised to see that model discontinued since the new generation was just introduced in Europe first. It all goes out through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. And this vehicle comes standard, of course, with the company's signature Quattro all-wheel drive system with a rear, or with an RS rear torque splitter. It gives the vehicle the ability to send up to 100% of the power side to side, and it also gives the ability for it to send more power to the rear axle. This vehicle is capable of doing actual tail-out drifts, which I've had a chance to do when this vehicle first came out about 3 years ago. Now, this being the most powerful engine in the A3 lineup, it also gets the worst fuel economy as expected, rated at 20 in the city, 29 on the highway, about 23 combined. Premium gas is going to be required, obviously. It has a 14.5-gallon fuel tank. You'll be looking at around 330-ish miles of range on a full tank. That's if you can keep your right foot under control. Audi claims the 0 to 60 has improved slightly to 3.6 seconds. We'll try it out when we get the vehicle out on the road. My test car has the Dynamic Plus package, which increases the top speed to 180 miles an hour. And as this car sits, it weighs in at just over 3,600 pounds, around 100 pounds heavier versus the slightly less powerful Audi S3 that we tested a couple of months ago. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling, which, as you can see, just like the A3 and S3 that we showed you guys a few months ago, the RS3 also gets its fair share of changes. You can see my test car is painted in Ascari blue. This is a new color for 2025, but I would have personally rather got this car in Kalami green, which is a free color technically. You can see the color itself has a beautiful look to it. When the sun hits it, lots of metallic fleck and reflection showing. You can see the headlights. They look pretty much the same, although these are the upgraded Matrix Design LED headlights. You can see the light signature is interchangeable, and you also have a dynamic turn signal for the upper portion of the headlight. Those are the all-weather lights down there at the lower portion, so they function as the fog lights. The front fascia also got an update. You can see the grille has even more black trim versus when this car first came out, along with some functional openings. My test car has a carbon package for an extra $3,000 that adds some genuine carbon fiber at the front end. The grille also has a different diamond texture to it, but with the standard basically black optics package, it certainly almost appears like it has like a mask on the front end, although it does work a little bit more cohesively, I think, versus the pre-refresh model. You also have the Audi corporate rings there, which is part of their new logos. They're kind of anthracite accented. You have the front camera, which has become standard for 2026. And you also have some integrated parking sensors, lots of functional openings, and I also like the new diamond texture in the grille opening. But overall, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the design. You can really see just how much lower and wider the RS3 is. In fact, this model is around 1.4 inches wider than the regular A3 and S3 even, so that gives this car a much more aggressive stance. It's also around an inch lower than the actual S3, so again, it gives this car more of that performance feel. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see that accentuated width is really showcased here when you move around the side, but this vehicle is on the smaller end, especially if you're comparing it to rivals like the CLA or the BMW M230 or M235 Grand Coupe, which technically is one notch below this vehicle. It has a 103.9-inch wheelbase with a 178.5-inch overall length. It's around an inch longer than the S3 and the A3, and that's because of the front and rear bumpers, obviously. You can see the wheels have a really interesting look to them. These are technically the wheels that you get with the Dynamic Plus package. These wheels, you can see, have a really nice kind of gray finish to them. They're like a 10-spoke design. The brakes are also carbon ceramics. 15-inch rotors at the front, clamped down by a 6-piston red-painted caliper. So these brakes are part of that Dynamic Plus package for an extra $5,600. The tires are also pretty wide, 265 by 30s in the front. They're technically 20 millimeters wider at the front versus 245s at the rear. The suspension is also fixed with their adaptive dampers. You can see, I love the full paint finish with this kind of fatter or actual air intake there. You can see that's a functional opening. The carbon package adds carbon fiber here on the actual side mirror, which are power folding with integrated turn signals and cameras, of course. The sunroof, as you can see, is nice as it opens up to vent air with a built-in wind deflector. It's got the new badging here where it says Audi RS3 in the actual A or B pillars. And then looking at it from this angle, you can really see the lines of this car are just a lot more aggressive. They really refined the look, even though this is a refresh, but the car itself just looks far more sophisticated, I think, in my eyes. The rear end has also been significantly improved, especially if you guys go for the carbon package. You can see for 3,000 bucks, it gives you the exposed carbon with the bigger wing. That looks much better. As you can see, the taillights are also full LED with a sequential turn signal. It's got the new Audi logo there. That's also in black, along with the new Audi 4 Rings logo, which is kind of like an anthracite color. And then the rear bumper has been significantly improved. You can see with the carbon package, you get the exposed carbon fiber, you get the dual oval exhaust tips, which technically function as quad outlet exhaust, but it only looks like a dual. And this rear bumper is just a huge improvement. The pre-refresh model had these fake vents that went along the front of the upper bumper. This just looks a lot more aggressive, a lot more cohesive. And this car has that signature 5-cylinder turbo, so let's go ahead and fire it up. You can hear how it sounds real quick. And if you guys like a unique sounding engine, you're really going to love the way this 5-cylinder sounds, along with the pops and the crackles that it makes. My test car has the $1,000 sport exhaust package, which honestly should become standard. Now, opening up the trunk, you can see you have around 8.3 cubic feet of space, which is not a lot. This is kind of where I wish Audi would offer the hatchback that they have in Europe, here in America, but it's still a pretty usable trunk. You can see there's a little bit of storage off to the side, a smidge of underfloor storage. The 12-volt battery actually lives back here for weight distribution. And if you you can also fold down the seats in a 40-20-40 manner, which expands the cargo. But again, this would be much more practical if Audi offered the RS3 as a hatch here in the States. So on the outside, Audi made some key changes to the exterior design, but on the inside, this is where the company mostly kept things the same with a couple of small updates. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is Audi's current intelligent access key. It is a nice size key that feels high quality. I also like how they resisted the urge to make this a key that's not too large, that's not too small as well. You have your usual buttons here that are accented in metal with lock, unlock. You can pop open the trunk remotely and activate a panic function. There's even an RS badge on the back of the key to let you know that you have the high performance Audi. Now, as you approach the door handle, you can see the door handle is a traditional pull style. You touch that, that will lock the door for you. It also will electrically fold in the mirrors. Touch the back of the door handle, that will also unlock the door automatically. Now, as you can see, when I open up the door, my particular test car has the standard black interior. I also forgot to mention Audi doesn't offer an auto walkaway lock or unlock feature like certain BMWs, but at a glance, this interior certainly looks pretty nice. I love the specific sports seats that you get with the RS model. Audi essentially offers only a black interior but you can get it with red stitching or even green stitching. It would be nice if they offered blue stitching, but I wish that Audi would offer more colors on the interior for the RS3. These seats, you can see, have a diamond quilted stitched pattern to them. They adjust, I believe, in 12 different ways with an adjustable thigh extender, which is nice. The seats are heated, but sadly, Audi doesn't offer ventilated seats in this car, which is an insult. It really should come with it, considering, you know, the hierarchy of this model. It wouldn't be hard to add cooled seats. It's annoying when you can get cooled seats in a Volkswagen GTI or Golf R, but not in an Audi S3 or Audi A3, which I find to be infuriating. You do have two-person memory seats, and in terms of the door panel materials, you can see this is a slightly padded soft touch injection molded plastic, gray painted plastic for this trim, and for the door handle trim, you have this new suede Alcantara with this like interesting pattern here with diamonds that actually illuminates at night. Slightly padded here where you'd rest your elbows. With leather stitching, of course, you have one touch up down for the windows. They have a nice satisfying clicky feel to them. And down here, it's all hard touch plastic. Audi has replaced the Bang & Olufsen stereo with a Sonos branded premium sound system, which also sounds good, but I think I actually might prefer the Bang & Olufsen system. That's just what I noticed compared to, you know, previously the Sonos one is fine, but I thought the Bang & Olufsen was even better than this. But getting inside, you can see it's a typical low sedan step-in height, which requires you to kind of fall into the vehicle as I shut the door. The door has a nice solid sounding thunk, which adds to that impression of quality. Remember, this car is built off of the MQB architecture, which it shares with a Volkswagen Golf, surprisingly. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see start stop button hasn't moved. It's right here by the shifter. And then when you hear the engine start up, it doesn't sound all that special, and that's because the vehicle has an active exhaust system. When it starts up, the exhaust is in its quiet setting. However, if you push this new checkered flag button here, that automatically opens up the baffles, it brings the revs up. And while I don't love the really low rev limiter at 4,000, it does sound very unique. It's a charismatic engine, and it gives you, again, that sense that you're driving something special. Now, as you can see, speaking of special, the RS3 got a new steering wheel, or gets a new steering wheel this year. It's got the new Audi logo, of course. It's got a flat bottom and a flat top design, so it's a squircle, basically. It's got perforated leather. The wheel itself feels nice in your hands. It looks a lot better than the pre-refresh model, which technically this is a different steering wheel versus the S3. As well, the pre-refresh model had the same steering wheel as the S3. And I love, again, the new buttons here to access your drive mode selector. There's your individual mode, which I can access. I can also push it again to go into an auto mode, and then I can cycle back to the individual. And then this button here brings me to the highest performance drive mode. As soon as I push that, it goes into that, which is really great. The wheel itself has a manual tilt and telescoping adjustment where you can get a comfortable driving position. I would have liked to see Audi give us some actual metal paddle shifters, which are mounted to the columns, and also make them larger. But you can see there are some new touch sensitive buttons here on the wheel, which are illuminated. They look a lot more high tech, but I would have preferred an actual hard button as opposed to, I guess, these touch sensitive buttons. The instrument panel, you can see Audi technically has updated this year. I'll take it out of the RS mode. You can see that's a new look for the instrument panel face. You can also push the view button here and go into the twin look, which is pretty traditional. Audi still lets you put your GPS functionality in here, so that really hasn't changed, but some of the graphics and some of the software has changed in general. That's, again, a new look with the tack front and center, which I love. There's also 3 different styles you can choose from, so this is definitely an improvement. This is basically their 12.3-inch virtual cockpit with a smaller 10-inch display, a 10.2-inch display over here in the center stack. Again, this doesn't have their new digital stage cockpit that we've seen in some of the newest Audi products, but I think I actually might prefer this. It's a little more traditional. You can see the upper dash has soft touch injection molded plastic. This trim also comes with a heads-up display, which became standard for 2026. There's some genuine carbon fiber on the dash as well, which looks nice with the Quattro badge, of course. You have your actual buttons here to control your dual zone temperature control. Heated seats are here. Your drive mode selector is also here, but most of the times you're going to be using the new buttons on the steering wheel, which is a big improvement. I like the traditional air vents here, which have a little tab where you can manually adjust that. You can also pull up your 360 camera here, which gives you a trajectory and distance markers, or you can also put it into reverse. You can see there's your backup camera there. Quality and resolution isn't the best. The screen also is starting to look a little small, but it certainly is nice to kind of have the 360 camera. Surprisingly, I can't seem to find to do a 360 perimeter scan. That's kind of where Audi used to offer that. At least they offer that in their bigger models, but oh, here we go. Something like that, which gives you a top-down view, gives you additional views here. So technically, I still can't do a 360 perimeter scan, it looks like, but this certainly is useful. It's just the graphics and resolution are starting to look a little crunchy. You have more buttons over here, of course, to turn off the stability control. There's like an automatic parallel park feature. That's your quick access to the drive modes or driver assistance features of this vehicle. This screen also has haptic feedback when you touch it. You have a wireless phone charging pad here, although it's not vented, so your phone's going to get pretty hot as it sits there and starts to recharge. This is, again, a little touch-sensitive pad where you can control the volume from here if you just scroll around that. I would prefer just a traditional knob to turn the volume up and down as opposed to the touchpad. I hate also all the piano black plastic here. This hasn't changed. This little tab here, if you push up, goes into reverse, down to go into sport or drive or sport, push the P button to go to park. This right here doesn't have any piano black plastic at least. You have your electronic parking brake there, your 12-volt power outlet, and you have a nice padded center console. That's not the biggest or deepest center console storage area, but it gets the job done. And this is also adjustable, so you can get more comfortable. The seats are very comfortable and supportive. I just want Audi to add ventilated seats and offer more interior color options versus black, but I would personally get it with the contrast red stitching or the contrast green stitching. The glove box, you can see, is damped and lined with felt. It goes into the dash. It's actually a pretty big size. You have an auto-dimming rearview mirror, but no digital camera mirror. And then you can see there's a woven material for the headliner, just an ultra-wide view style sunroof, which looks like a traditional sunroof. It's a little bigger than that, but it also opens up to vent air, and it has a retractable mesh shade to it. But overall, the interior, aside from the new steering wheel and some new graphics and some new software in the infotainment system, is pretty much the same deal as the pre-refresh model. So not really luxurious, but feels a little bit more special, like the carbon fiber. The tech is also about what you would expect, but it's a cozy feeling cabin. There wasn't any squeaks and rattles, so at least the build quality is solidly put together. But let's go ahead and hop into that backseat area. This is where the RS3 is also going to remind you that it's a small sedan, because Audi says you only have about 35 inches of legroom back here, which is not a lot. You can see material quality, unfortunately, is completely hard touch plastic back here, which is unacceptable considering the price tag of this car. You do have some nice suede there and padded over there. And like I said, the windows are one touch up down for all four. So that's a nice touch. The seats, they do offer the ability to fold them down. If I pull this, you can see it folds down the seat and creates almost a flat load floor, which is nice. But there's sadly no recline function for the seats. As I get back here, you can see the space is certainly not amazing, but at 5'7", this is my driving position. I can find a decent amount of comfort. There's good foot space. The floor is not completely flat, obviously. You do have rear seat air vents. It looks like a third climate control zone, although it technically is like a manual adjustment, which is interesting. You have two USB-C charging ports, and you have two storage pockets. I can get back here and cross my legs, but it's a little tight, so not really great for those longer trips. There are adjustable head restraints back here, and you also have an armrest that folds down and gives you two cup holders. The headrest, or I'm sorry, the headroom, as you can see, is a little tight. I have maybe like an inch of headroom, maybe less than that. My hair starts to get close to that. So there is a carve out here for the sunroof, excuse me, but it's definitely not as spacious as some competitors. You have LED map lighting in here. So overall, if you need a bigger back seat, Audi will happily sell you the S5, but technically we don't have a new version yet of the RS5 available as of this filming. So here we are back behind the wheel of the hottest member for the Audi A3 family, better known, of course, as the RS3. When I first had a chance to drive this vehicle 3 years ago, at least the second generation model, I was simply blown away with the entire package that Audi offers here. This is a sedan that really just kind of blows the competition out of the water, especially if you're looking for a vehicle that has one of the most charismatic engines you're going to find in this segment. And that's kind of where Audi didn't really make any changes to this model for 2025 underneath the hood. And that's kind of a good thing, because we still have the iconic 2.5 liter double overhead cam turbocharged 5-cylinder engine. Think of the engine again as half of the motor from the V10 in the Audi R8. Now, of course, that engine in the Audi R8 is around as a naturally aspirated 5.2 liter. This is 2.5 liter. It has a turbo attached to it, but because it's a 5-cylinder, it gives you one of the most unique sounds that you're going to hear in the automotive world. Now this engine continues to be hooked up to a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. So technically it's an automated manual. Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, they do some of the best dual clutches in the industry. So with this transmission, even though it is a dual clutch, what I noticed when you're driving it around town, it's still a relatively smooth transmission. It does a really good job of just impersonating a traditional torque converter automatic. I don't really feel any of the usual clunkiness and just jerkiness that you associate with a dual clutch. In just its normal mode here, I have it in my individual drive mode setting. The transmission shifts about its business and you barely notice it actually doing the shifting. So this is kind of nice in the fact that it gives you the smoothness of an automatic with the quickness of a manual, or at least, you know, the launch control feature that you get when you have it in its Sport Plus setting and whatnot. But Audi says with this powertrain, you can expect a 0 to 60 time of 3.6 seconds. To get the best time, you basically put it into the most aggressive mode, which you reach that by hitting the checkered flag in the on this new steering wheel here, which automatically makes the engine so much louder. It puts the stability control in its sports setting, and this is kind of where we're going to test out to see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. My race box is down here due to technical difficulties, but to activate the launch control, just brake torque it. Whew. Oh! Oh! Wow, 0 to 60 in 3.4 or 54 seconds. 3.54 seconds. That's with it more going uphill. We're going to try it up ahead later on and see if we can get a slightly faster time, because the last one that I tested did it in 3.4 seconds. Remember, Audi's claim is 3.6 seconds, which is a little faster this year. That compares favorably, of course, to the 4.2 seconds that I got in the Audi S3, which, remember, this car has 66 more horsepower, around 74 more foot-pounds of torque. Listen to the sound of this engine. Oh! It actually will bounce off the rev limiter if you shift a little too late, but listen to that again. Oh, it goes all the way to 7,000 RPM, and it just has this interesting wail to it. It sounds so good, and it likes to rev. So much torque as well. These paddles, I will say, don't feel the best. They're a little cheap feeling. I was kind of hoping Audi would give this car bigger paddles, but I love the new steering wheel with the flat bottom and flat top design. It's a unique wheel compared to the old RS3, which had essentially the same steering wheel from the S3. This just feels a lot more special. I like the way the wheel looks. Some people have questioned the look of the Audi 4 rings on here, but it's fine. I would get used to it in a heartbeat. But I just love how the drive mode controls are now located on the wheel. It's just better for quick access. It gives this car, again, more of that performance feel that you associate with a car like this. You expect it to feel a certain way, and that's kind of where the new RS3 is certainly going to deliver. Now, just like the pre-refresh model, this vehicle does come standard with the RS rear torque splitter, which is going to help this vehicle send more power to the outside wheel, and you can really feel it when you put your foot down. This vehicle will almost out-accelerate and counteract the understeer that you typically associate with a front-wheel drive bias vehicle. It sounds really good too. It pulls hard, and it really shows just how balanced this chassis is. In fact, Audi's performance division, Audi Sport, can really build an actual sporty vehicle in the corners, despite its front drive roots, its front-wheel drive heritage or whatnot. Let's try another run here, 0 to 60 wise. Oh. Now, for some reason there, the launch control was not able to actually engage. So I'll try another run up ahead where there's another straight road that's completely flat, but the launch control can be a little finicky. This is kind of where I noticed BMW's latest launch control, or Porsche, they have much better launch control functionality where it's just a little more reliable. I find this to be a little irritating at times when it doesn't want to work properly. Oof. Man, this thing just feels so fast. It really does punch above its weight. I love the sound. I love the visceral feel. I love the neutralness of this car's chassis. The steering also, Audis typically have had kind of bad steering where it didn't have much feedback from the front tires. This has definitely gotten a lot better. That trademark Audi numbness, I've noticed, is kind of not here in this vehicle. It feels very planted. It feels very sure-footed. It feels alive, like it's ready to attack your favorite back road. And that's kind of what I love about the RS3 is it feels like a proper sporty sedan. And especially if you guys are coming from, you know, some of its competitors, this 5-cylinder adds charisma. The transmission is quick to respond, and it just wants to keep pulling, and it just gives you that tunnel vision that you associate with some EVs. This is genuinely a fast vehicle. So I really love how Audi didn't necessarily need to touch the powertrain. It's still one of the best that I've tested in terms of a performance vehicle. I mean, and better considering the price point. The ride quality is also surprisingly good in this car. I've noticed that even though I have it in its Sport Plus setting, the ride is surprisingly supple. It does a great job of just giving you the suppleness that you're looking for, while at the same time it's not going to beat you up, and it will be sporty, and it kind of gives you the nimbleness that you associate with a vehicle like this. So let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise with this car now. All right, so we'll try another run here with the launch control, hopefully. It's activated. Oh, holy smokes. It actually lifted the front end up, and we got 3.66 seconds there. So that seems a little on the slower side. I was expecting this car to actually do 3.4 again, but that was on a perfectly level surface. But it's probably a little slower because of the wheel spin. The front tires there actually were spinning a little bit, which isn't ideal for the quickest 0 to 60 time. But I mean, overall, this vehicle in general will take your breath away. It's shocking to me how fast it is. It will keep up with a lot of fast electric vehicles, but at the same time, it has that visceral sensation that you want from a sedan. All right, our best time there, 3.43 seconds. So that's with it on level surface, and the front tires weren't spinning as bad there. So it basically the same performance that I got from the pre-refresh model, and it still just takes my breath away. It's amazing because I drive a lot of fast cars, but this powertrain is just perfection. And it's a shame because this is the last Audi model to utilize this engine. Now, of course, there's a downside with this powertrain, and that's the fuel consumption, because you can basically do well over 30 miles to the gallon in an S3 with its 4-cylinder turbo engine. That engine is also pretty fast, but this powertrain, you're gonna pay for more at the pump. It might be for the testing, the best I could average is around 21 mpg in mixed driving, mostly city driving, which is not ideal. It's not a great fuel economy rating. On the highway, the best I could do is around 26 mpg, so a little bit better, but remember, this is on premium gas. In terms of real world range, I was struggling to do 300 miles. So if you have a little more discipline with your right foot, you can certainly do better. I, on the other hand, just enjoyed dipping into the power of this 5-cylinder turbo, listening to the sounds it makes. It is an absolutely phenomenal engine, paired, of course, with comfortable seats that hold you in place. The visibility is good. This is an easy car to drive, an easy car to live with, which is fantastic. I just wish that Audi would offer it as a hatchback. In fact, I would love to see Volkswagen take this engine and put it in a Golf R and like make something even higher than a Golf R, like a Golf RS or something. That would be fantastic. Don't know if that'll ever happen here in the US because this engine is technically reserved for Audi Sport, but it's really a wonderful thing. It makes me, sad because I have no idea how much longer this engine is going to be available. But again, for those of you who are looking for the ultimate Audi sedan that isn't, that doesn't cost as much as the RS6, for example, or the RS7, you should definitely continue to put this RS3 at the very top of your list. So after spending a full week with the hottest member of the A3 family, the RS3, I have to admit, obviously, this is going to be my favorite member of the A3 S3 lineup because, hello, it's got that wonderful 5-cylinder turbo engine that seriously punches above its weight. We got 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, but all day long, you should be able to do it in the 3.5 second range, which will keep up with a lot of those performance EVs, which is kind of crazy to think, but at the same time, you don't have to give up the visceral experience. This 5-cylinder with the the dual clutch is a smooth operator around town, but then when you put it into its performance mode, it really transforms this vehicle into a serious sports sedan. And it shows you that Audi's performance division can build an actual driver's car with neutral handling, excellent steering feel, a suspension that also doesn't beat you up, but at the same time, it has a design that is understated but also aggressive. This thing doesn't really scream boy racer, and Audi actually made it even better looking for 2025 with the updates that they've made this year, especially when you look at the rear end. With this carbon package and this Ascari blue, this is just a chef's kiss. Although I think I really would probably still get it in Kailami green with the black interior that has all the green accents, because hello, a bright green color on this car is going to make it even cooler. But this darker blue is a much more understated, more sophisticated tone that also feels a little bit more grown up. The interior of this vehicle is definitely starting to show its age. I was hoping Audi would have given it more updates besides the new steering wheel, although the new steering wheel is a nice touch. You do have, of course, their upgraded software, along with an updated digital infotainment system in front of the driver, which is definitely a nice touch. The back seat is still on the smaller side, as is the trunk, if Audi would only offer this vehicle as a hatch here in America. But wouldn't it be interesting to see this powertrain under the hood of a Golf R and give us an even hotter Golf here in the US? That would certainly be very nice. But really the downside with the RS3 is going to come down to the pricing, because if you guys want the ultimate version of the A3 family, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. Now, I remember when this car first came out in 2022, it actually had a pretty reasonable starting price of under $60,000. However, over the last couple of years, Audi has increased the price, and now you have to spend at least $66,000 to get into the base version. These cars are pretty well equipped. Audi actually for 2026 made the technology package as standard, which again gives it even more value, but it still again has a higher starting price. Now, my particular test car here has a plethora of options. Actually, it's one of the most expensive RS3s you can buy, so there are a few options that you could leave off the table. The Dynamic Plus package is $5,500. Part of the reason why it's so expensive is the carbon ceramic brakes at the front end. The carbon package is almost $3,000. This color is also $600. The technology package was also $2,000 for 2025. With destination, the black roof, all in, this particular one that I'm showing you here is around $76,900, just under 77 grand. That is a lot more expensive versus the 2023 model that I tested in Turbo Blue, which was around 65 grand. However, I spec'd out one in Kailami green with the carbon exterior package, the RS design package that has the green accents. That model came in at around $72,000, which seems a little bit more reasonable. But just remember, this is still a pretty small sedan on the outside, although if you're comparing it to its main rival, the Mercedes-AMG CLA 45S, that vehicle starts at around 68 grand. It can easily be over $80,000 with similar options to this vehicle. So there is still some value to have with this car. Just remember, it's gotten more expensive versus when this car first showed up. But if you can keep the options in check, I personally would skip the Dynamic Plus package unless you plan to track the car and save yourself almost $6,000. That will really bring this car still into a strong value considering the money that you get, or I'm sorry, the performance that you get for the money, the technology, of course, the looks of this car. It's still just a really unique vehicle with a unique engine, and we have no idea how long this 5-cylinder is going to stay around. So do yourself a favor, if you're an enthusiast, pick one of these up while you still can, because who knows how long it'll be here. This vehicle does not sell in the high numbers that Audi needs it to. The company only managed to sell a little under 10,000 A3s in the US. We don't actually know how many of those were A3s, S3s, or RS3s. Audi doesn't disclose the actual take rate between the three models. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2026 Audi RS3. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.